All right, Giants fans, let's talk about this heartbreaker. Absolute heartbreaker. Week 2 loss to the Washington Commanders. 21-18 loss in Washington. I'm Brendan London here at Tommy's Tavern. Had a whole activation going for Modelo and the Giants. We've got Jared Schwartz writes all types of cool columns and articles for the Post when it comes to everything from boxing to football. He's our eye in the sky. And we also got Super Bowl champ Domenik Hixon, former Giants wide receiver. He just went out for a little bit. We're having a little technical difficulties on that side of things. Jared, I'm going to start with you, and then I'm going to give my 2 cents, my point of view, and we also got some fans in the area that we can go to as well. What a loss. Heartbreaking loss. When you thought it was there, talk to me, man. Talk to me. What's on the media side? What are you guys thinking?
I think it boils down to one statement. One team was playing without a kicker. The other team won by only kicking field goals, 7 field goals actually, to be exact. Look, once we saw Graham Gano was out off that opening kickoff, we knew it was trouble, and it cost them 3 points in a game that they lost by 3 points. This is a problem that looked preventable. We saw Graham Gano pop up on the injury report on Saturday after the team's walkthrough on Saturday with a groin injury. He hurt his hamstring on that opening kickoff, but it's hard to believe they weren't related. And the Giants had to go the rest of the game without a kicker. It cost them 3 points. They missed the first extra point with punter Jamie Gillen. They tried the 2-point conversion, the next 2 touchdowns, failed, and they lost by 3 points. Look, Washington had 7, besides the kneel down at the end of the first half, 7 possessions, 7 scoring drives, all ending in field goals. So to me, that's what it boils down to. Look, we could talk about Malik Nabers, his drop at the end, but to me, that kicking issue is what stands out.
Well, it's almost like a deja vu situation again from last year with the Jets loss when Graham Gano was injured. I guess he was injured throughout the week. He goes to kick that field goal against the Jets, misses it last year. Domenik Hixon is back into the room with us. Glad the service is going well. We're talking about how the Giants defense held the Commanders to 7 field goals? You said, Jared, 7
field goals.
Yeah. 7 field goals. Giants offense was able to put points on the board, but at the end they weren't able to close it out. Talk to me, Hicks.
I mean, it's just tough for me to believe that there's only one guy on that roster that can kick field goals. That's hard for me to believe. I mean, you have so many athletes on that team, and, we're talking about kicking a field goal. We're not asking for a 40 or 50-yarder, but so that's just hard for me to believe. That's just really disappointing. The Giants defense, I mean, props to them. This game could have got really ugly. Just think about 6 touchdowns, opportunities in the red zone that they hold to 6 field goals and then a game-winning field goal. So, I mean, big ups to them. I mean, a lot of positive, but it just hurts going 0-2. I think the statistic this morning was 5% chance of making the playoffs if you go 0-2. So,
especially not having anybody else who can kick. It makes it even more frustrating, I think, when we know that this is a preventable problem. We knew Graham Gano was shaken up, after the walkthrough on Saturday. There was some groin injury that he was dealing with. And as Brandon said before, it's a bit of deja vu. This is a team that dealt with this last year. This is a team that basically didn't have Graham Gano in that game against the Jets last year. So this is 2 years in a row we see the Giants basically without a kicker.
Yeah, heartbreaking.
Yeah, especially when we're talking about an offensive boom when it comes to total yards, 304, passing yards, 175. Hicks, I think we can agree that's pedestrian. They were able to get the run game going with Motor Singletary, Eric Gray, and Tyrone Tracy Jr. Buck 29 yards on the ground, 19 first downs, 4 for 8 on third down. That's 50%. 1 for 2 on fourth down. That's 50%. It was a game where in the first half, Washington controlled the time of possession, but there was a long part of the first half where the Giants were up. So Hicks, I was telling people here at Tommy's Tavern, who cares about the time of possession if you're up, but you need to capitalize on certain drives. instead of 3, you need to get 6 to 7 to not only like pull away, but to
Right.
also give yourself some sort of security, give your defense some sort of security blanket as well.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, the time of possession, I mean, what was bad for that is your defense is going to end up being more tired, more fatigued in the second half, right? I mean, they're on
Yeah.
the field a ton in that first half. And then, the big fumble there, I think it was 1 turnover today, and that hurt right there because the Giants were moving it at will. I mean, we don't fumble the ball there. I bet you we go down and at least have an opportunity to score a touchdown. So it's one of those deals where, gosh, time of possession didn't tell the whole story, but like I said, little missed opportunities here and there, and then late in the fourth quarter, that on the fourth down is just trying to capitalize, catching the ball there. But again, we should have a field goal kicker somewhere to be able to kick the ball and get us up there. So
We talk about that 4th down drop by Malik Nabers. It's hard to get on the rookie at the end of the day. Hey, Hicks, like Plax used to say, he didn't care if it touched your hands, your shoe, your shin bone. Didn't matter. Plax is like, if it touched you, you got to come down with that. And the rookie knows that. We saw that from the live feed. 10 catches, 127 yards, and his first NFL touchdown. But I want to talk after that. So the Giants have their wide receiver 1, Malik Nabers, Odell Beckham Jr. 2.0. But after that, when we talk about receiving threats and what other guys did in the pass game, Darius Slayton, 3 catches, 33 yards. Wan'Dale Robinson, 2 catches, 18 yards. Devin Singletary, 1 catch, 0 yards. Jarrett and Dominic, I'm gonna start with Jarrett on this one. Dominic, you hop on after that.
Yeah,
it's a one-man band when it comes to the pass game. And although we love what the rookie put up, that one drop ended up being very detrimental.
Now, I'm most interested now to see how Malik Nabers handles it after the game, to see how he answers the media, how he answers the questions. It was a dream game other than that, but game on the line on that 4th and 4, I think what's most important about that 4th and 4, they're on the 22-yard line. That's a situation where if they actually have a kicker, they don't need to go for it. They can just kick, the field goal and go up by 3, but no kicker. You have to go for it. Nabers is wide open on the sideline, and he drops it. Look, for last week, the question was, how is Nabers going to handle himself after not getting that many targets? See, this week, the question is going to be, how is he going to handle himself after such a great game, but that crushing drop at the end?
Yeah. Hicks, you've always been a leader within locker rooms. First and foremost, what do you tell the rookie after a drop like that? And then what do you think overall on the Giants passing game on the night?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have plenty of big catches, game-winning catches. I mean, this isn't going to define his career by no stretch. It just happened at an unopportune time when, I think, all the Giants fans were just really leaning on something to hold on to, to be able to be 1-1. But he didn't lose the game by no stretch. And like I said, he's going to have plenty of big catches and score touchdowns. But now, I mean, it's one of those deals where, in 07, that Super Bowl there, we, started 0-2. Came back and won 2 more games in a row. And then all of a sudden, won the right ones and got a ticket to the dance. So, I mean, everything ahead and all the goals of winning Super Bowls and doing all that is still possible. It's just, as Giant fans, me sitting here on the couch with the family watching the game, we just want to see it now. We see the ability, we see the opportunities. So,
but Hicks, that's comparing apples to oranges. Our 07 team, and it's not being disrespectful to this team because they're going out, they're competing. Whether you drop a ball, catch it, like everyone's out there competing. Everyone wants to be out there. They want to win. They want to change the narrative when it comes to this franchise in recent years. But when we talk about that 0-2 team that, we were on, you look at the roster was stacked. Not only offensive linemen who are Giants legends, but there's multiple Giants legends within the receiving core, the secondary. Yeah. Does this Giants football team right now on paper to you have enough to overcome? I'm not talking Super Bowl, but to just be competitive when we're talking late November, December, and January.
And personally, I'm hoping so. I mean, to go into a season, everyone starts off with a clean slate, and then, as the season transpires, you start having different teams with different records. So I'm hoping we can compete. I'm hoping we can beat it. I'm an optimist. I know it's easy to sit here and point fingers and do all that. That's not going to get it done. So I think the leadership of the Giants will show, during the tough times. And so we'll see what type of leaders they have on the team and within the head coach. We'll see. Time will tell.
All right, we're Riverside at Jarrett. Let's talk about the defense now. We've all agreed that defense did their thing, held them to 6 to 7 field goals on the evening, 7 field goals on the evening, 5 sacks on the day. Michael McFadden 1, Jason Pinnock 2, Andrew Phillips, who we'll talk about in a little bit, played above his weight class. Bobby Okereke with the sack. Guys were getting after Jaden Daniels. Obviously, he got he got loose when he was going to get loose. We're talking about the second overall pick of the draft. Jarrett, how do you think this Giants defense held up against Jaden Daniels?
What was interesting, you described, the 5 guys who had sacks, no pass rushers, no edge rushers, three defensive backs and a linebacker, Drew Phillips, Pinnock, two defensive backs, 2 linebackers with Drew Phillips, Pinnock, McFadden, and Okereke. Look, I think it was a classic Shane Bowen defense. I think he was kind of, his calling card was bend, don't break. I know he didn't like that term, bend, don't break was, but it was, play cautious, keep everything in front of you. And then once you get down the red zone, once you get down, 20-yard line, that's when you lock in. And that's what we saw. All 7 drives were pretty much the same thing for the Commanders. They moved the ball, they rushed well, and then the Giants, toughened up in the red zone. One thing that stuck out to me was they got gashed on the ground again. Brian Robinson had 133 yards. The Commanders had 215 yards total. But as you said, Drew Phillips, 3rd-round pick, he looks like a real player. He can tackle. He can certainly tackle. He had that forced fumble in the first game. He had a bunch of tackles today. I think I'm speaking for everybody that, we'd like to see a little bit more from Brian Burns. This is someone they traded a lot for, paid a lot of money for. No sacks today, no quarterback hits, I think. Uneven day maybe for the defense. Certainly anytime you give up just 21 points, you can't, blame the defense. But 7 drives, seven scoring drives for the Commanders is also, one guy who didn't appear in the box score today was the Commanders punter. 0 punts for that Commanders offense. At some point you want to force the other team into either a punt, or a turnover.
Yeah, another thing we're talking about how the Commanders were able to be 7 for 14 on 3rd down, which is, Hicks, as you know, the money down. And when you have Brian Robinson, and I said this before the game in the Blue Rush preview show, I told fans to manage their expectations when it comes to Kayvon and Brian Burns' sacks, because it was all about stopping the run. If you stop the run and make it to where you're only getting 1, 2, 3 yards on 1st down, you're forcing Jaden Daniels into some sort of throwing situation. Now, he was able to run for 10 carries, 44 yards. A lot of those were scrambles, not design runs. But Brian Robinson Jr. was able to rush for 17 carries, 133 yards. Jaden Daniel now, because of that, goes 23 on 29 for 226 yards in the air. And again, he added 10 rushes for 44 yards on the ground. So is it a situation, Hicks, where if you can't stop the run or you don't put them behind the chains, it doesn't matter who you have coming off the edge, they're not going to get an opportunity to rush the quarterback, because the opponent's offense is in a favorable position when it comes to down and distance and being ahead of the sticks.
Yeah, absolutely, Brandon. I mean, you hit it right on the head. If you're 3rd and short 2 or 3, or 3rd and medium 4 or 5, I mean that's favorable. And so now you got an athletic quarterback and a run game, so you can either run, you could play action. He's a dual threat, and so you got so many more options. I can't, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember too many times in the game when it was a 3rd and long situation where you knew they had to pass. A lot of it seemed like 3rd and manageable. So yeah, Brandon, you're right, man. I mean, when you're ahead of the chains, when you're 3rd and 2 and 3, 3rd and 4, I mean, all that's favorable for the offense. It gives you too many options, too many athletes.
Let's get into some of these fan comments. Thank you guys for watching our Blue Rush post-game live stream hosted by the New York Post Sports. Richard Drudge says, amen, Brendan, run stoppers. Brendan tends to be right a lot. I just had to throw that out there. Theodore Morehouse, really cool name. They only throw to Nabers, bad bird dogging and bad play calling. Other people have tight ends who contribute. We don't, apparently. Floors for you guys. Do you think Malik Nabers was targeted too much, or Hicks? As you know, we've been around some wide receiver ones in our day. Yeah. You got to get the guy the ball, because at the end of the day, the ball goes through that guy.
For two
period. I mean,
former receivers here, what are the chances either of you guys going to say is ever too many targets?
Yeah, Jared, who wants to run the ball? We're receivers. Like, stop it. Let's go. Hey. That's why we had Hixon on here. Throw the rock. Let's go, Hicks. Let's start throwing that rock.
That's fair. I mean, last week, I think Robinson was targeted 12 times. Brandon, I know you agree with me on this one. I wish I could have been targeted 12 times in the game. And I mean, it's one of those deals where, no, I don't think he was targeted too much at all. Like I said, he's a heck of a ball player. He's drafted, number 1 for a reason. Feed him. Keep feeding them. Don't stop. I mean, like I said, offense may have to run through him, and I'm fine with that.
This is I think today was probably the first time since Odell we saw a real number 1 true, alpha wide receiver. We thought it was Kenny Golladay. We thought maybe Golden Tate, some of the other guys that were brought in. Today was the first time in years we saw a real alpha go-to wide receiver 1.
Yeah. And it worked, but then it kind of backfired in the end. Look, I'm all about everybody eats. Yo, Hixon, you think about our receiver room. Yeah. Amani Toomer, Plaxico Burris, Steve Smith, you, Sonoris Moss, and we had Kevin Boss and Jeremy Shockey for a limited time before he went on IR. I'm all about spreading the ball around, but for right now, with where this offense is, where you're trying to find some sort of spark, and Jared, you were there throughout OTAs, you were there throughout training camp. Where did the offense go through? If Malik Nabers didn't have himself 1 to 2 big catches in a practice, the offense was kind of stale. We can both agree to that. Jared, I got a question for you, and this coming out of the comments because we need to flip it back, talk about the defense again. Got a lot of offensive talk here with 2 receivers in the chat. Theodore Morehouse again says, come on, guys. The Giants' defense was terrible. We didn't hold them to 7 field goals. They shot themselves in the foot 7 times in the red zone. It could have been 35 points for Washington. Hicks, I see you smiling, but I'm going to start with Jared. Is that the glass half full or glass half empty type mentality?
There is a point there. The Commanders did have a bunch of false start penalties when they got down there in the red zone. Look, you can look at it 2 ways. You get carved up, you hold them to a field goal. Is it a win? You got carved up in the first place to get down there. Look, you gave up 21 points. I think more so than the points, it's really the time of possession. They allowed the Commanders to almost take away the whole first quarter on their opening drive. I think the time of possession was the Commanders had over 37 minutes of the ball. The Giants had about 22. So, about 15 minutes more of the ball for the Commanders. I think that's what most stands out to me. I think to most of us, the Giants offense did some good things. They just never had the ball because the Giants defense couldn't get off the field. Like I said before, you don't force any punts. I think it's hard to say it's an excellent day or a great day. I don't think it was a terrible day. They did do some good things. They didn't give up a touchdown. Any day you don't give up a touchdown, it's got to be decent. It was really a weird day. It's 7 drives, 7 field goals. A lot of time of possession, a lot of bad things, but they also did stand strong in the red zone. What stands out most to me is they had a little more pass rush today, but it's not coming from those vaunted pass rushers that they expected it to come from.
Man, I'm trying to get some fans over here at Tommy's Tavern. We had the whole Bar Network series presented by Modelo. I emceed it. DJ Camelo was here. Sean O'Hara, our former teammate, Sean O'Hara was here signing autographs and all. I'm trying to get some fans. They're all shy right now, but there are a lot of questions right now. Domenik Hixon on one for the what happened for this game, and two, where do you go after this? Jared, we're going to be in the locker room this week. We're going to go talk to the players. And Hicks, I feel like I'm like super old. Like they're playing NBA Youngboy in the locker room. No, I don't know what's going on. Where is the locker room? Where does this team go after this? 0-2, and then to lose the way you just did. What's that mindset hopping on that train back from DC back to East Rutherford, New Jersey to pick up your whip, pick up your car?
Yeah, I mean, it's a gut check time. I mean, you always have a decision to make. You can fold up the tents and call it a season, or you can have some pride about yourself and go out there and play. And, it's one of those deals, too, where, 21 points that the defense gave up. I just want to touch on this real quick. That's not bad. I don't care if it's 3 touchdowns. I mean, again, it might not be tops in the league, but it still gives you a chance. And like I said, it's a lot of season left. It's a lot of season left. A lot of things can happen. But, again, professional pride. I know they take a lot of pride in what they do for a living. You're New York Football Giants. And so hopefully, on the way back, kind of do some self-evaluation. And, by the time next week starts, lick your wounds and get back to it because, no one's going to take it easy on you or feel sorry for you.
Go ahead,
Jared.
One thing that's kind of been, especially last week, is it almost doesn't feel like it's almost week 2 and they're 0-2. Especially last week, it felt like an extension of last year where fans were booing after a minute and a half. I almost didn't feel that new season optimism, that new season hope. It was almost just waiting for the doom and waiting for the disaster. And as soon as it came, the boos came out, and then so it's almost is it hard to almost feel like they're just 0-2 and you got so much season ahead of you when last season went so poorly, and it feels almost like an extension of last year.
Yeah.
All right, I told you guys we had the whole Bar Network series watch party here at Tommy's Tavern in Clifton. I'm live on site. We got a longtime Giants fan here. It was sponsored by Modelo. My man's had a couple of Modelos here, but we got Domenik Hixon on the line. We've got New York Post beat writer Jared Schwartz on the building. You can't hear them. I can hear them. Okay. What question you have for the guys?
Domenik.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you PG-13. You wish you're still playing?
Oh, for sure.
That's the question you asked. That's the question you asked.
I could ask the question.
That's the question you ask. Keep it PG-13. Ask him a good question. That man don't wish he was playing. That man got kids and all that. Knee hurts and all that.
All right. As a receiver, how do you feel Malik Nabers did today?
There we go.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I think he did really well, man. And he's going to end up being a number 1 for a long time, man. And he's going to end up balling out. And like I said, I hate that he had that one drop. Like I said, I'm not judging him by that at all because, like I said, 127 yards, touchdown, 10 receptions. Yeah, I mean, that's solid, man. That's really, really good. So, yeah, I think he'll be the number 1. He'll continue forward.
All right. I had to translate all that. I got the Beats ears in because it's loud here. Very raucous crowd here at Tommy's Tavern as they got the second round of games playing. We got longtime Giants beat writer Jared Schwartz in the building. What question you got for Jared?
Hey, Jared, nice to meet you. My question is, how do you feel about today's horrible loss?
Were you not at the beginning of the live stream? You're embarrassing me in front of my friends, bro. I'm joking.
No, I'm sorry about you.
I'm joking.
Look,
take this.
There's not that many ways to feel, right? I mean, maybe, you can take a few positives and a few, optimistic points today. The rookies have looked good. Tyler Nubin looked good. Malik Nabers had his first breakout game. But other than that, it's kind of this, new season, same stuff, to keep it clean. It's you're 0-2 and this certainly wasn't the most difficult part of your schedule. You know, you beat a team that didn't have high expectations. Yeah, so you lost to a team last week without high expectations in the Vikings. Washington is a team that you normally own, a team that is usually, one or two of your wins every year. It's hard to, it's hard to find room for optimism.
Yeah, I mean, I think just you can see the energy be taken out of the fan base here when one, the drop by Malik Nabers, two, as they just meticulously just drove down the field to win it. And it's like you want to be you want to give the defense props and you want to give them credit, Hicks. We know we've been around some great defenses in our life. But it's like you feel 50-50 on it because it's like, all right, you guys bend but didn't break the entire time. But then that one possession that was needed, they were able to go down the field at home and kick that field goal to win it. LVO, thank you. Representing Sons of G, man. Make sure you guys check out the J18 tailgate, SOG tailgate at J18. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for coming up and asking questions. We're gonna wrap this thing up. Jarrett, give us your final thoughts. Hicks, give us your final thoughts, and then I guess we just start thinking about Cleveland. Hicks.
Yeah. I mean, final thoughts. Just overall on the game, man. Again, I think like Jared said earlier, some positives to take away from, but at the end of the day, they lost. And I think that's what hurts the worst part here, man. And they got a Cleveland Browns team that I think they're going to be riding high into this game and, at home. So I think for the season, man, we just gotta, I guess, try to stay focused on the task at hand. But it's going to be an uphill challenge. It's going to be an uphill challenge, especially with Philly and, how Dallas is playing, except for today. Dallas lost. So at least that kind of lessens the blow. But, yeah, it's one of those deals. Yeah, it's one of those deals, man, that, hopefully the Giants can go ahead and get this thing turned around. And, Jared, I'm hoping, too, that I know the fans are really anxious, right, to go ahead and kind of turn the page and get on this positive side. And, we were winning for so long, Brandon, right? I mean, we were good for so long, man, and now it's been kind of a stretch. So hopefully we can go ahead and get a key win down the road and get this thing turned around.
I mean, there's at this point, it just feels like, what will go wrong, or what can go wrong will go wrong. Today they did a lot of things right. There are a lot of things we can point to. Neighbors, defense, Tyler Nubin, even Daniel Jones. We barely even talked about Daniel Jones. There's not going to be a quarterback controversy this week. Yeah, I mean Daniel Jones, 2 touchdown passes, no interceptions, 178 yards. That's certainly a step forward, but at the end of the day, they're 0-2. 0-2 and 0-3, fans start looking at the draft. They start looking at the quarterbacks, and they start talking about draft position, free agency. And, at this point, we're 2 weeks in, and they have to fight to save their season. So, you can take away some positives, but at the end of the day, their season's on the line, and we're in week 3.
Absolutely. They need a bounce back win as they go to Cleveland on Sunday, which we're talking about a Cleveland defense that was top 3 to 5 last season. So Giants offense took a step today, Hicks. I think we can agree that they took a step. But when we talk about where we want them to be, where this team needs them to be, they're still not there yet. Need a couple more touchdowns on the board to overcome whatever it is that comes, a kicker pulling a hamstring or somebody having an ingrown toenail. Doesn't matter. You want to see the Giants still be able to put up enough points. This guy's right here. I had to bring my son on here. Hicks, you ain't seen little BL, Hicks.
Yeah.
You ain't seen him yet. Little BL too, man. Got a mouth, good talk just as much trash like his daddy, man. Like I had to let him see Hicks. And for Jared Schwartz, Domenik Hixon, the Commanders beat the Giants 21-18. Thanks for watching the Blue Rush post-game live show, sponsored by the New York Post.
Hey, no turnovers next week.
You end it. Say it again, because we're gonna clip this.
No turnovers next week. We win the ball game.
Domenik Hixon gives us something to look forward to in week 3. But the Giants start their season off 0-2. Jarrett Hicks, thanks for hopping on with this, man.